And now, the Suey nominees for Best Story. Aaron Rodgers accidentally insulted the Dalai Lama.
One of my favorite stories from the trip was, you're supposed to kind of bring a gift, right? So found out he likes chocolates, so some people brought some chocolates, and I wanted to bring him a game-worn jersey from the playoffs. It's kind of meaningful. Got the C on there with the stars, and his translators didn't quite understand the nature of the gift, and they were wondering why there's a little bit of dirt on that jersey. His Holiness, a used, worn-out jersey. So we tried to let them know, through our translators that was, actually a special thing and not just an old dirty one we found in the back of the locker room somewhere.
Billy Gill's knee surgery story.
I had an extra bone in my knee that was removed via surgery, and I wanted to keep it, and the doctor told me that I could keep it, and then they shredded it, and I couldn't keep it.
Good story. Vern Lundquist's most embarrassing moment on TV.
It was a Monday night game, Cowboys and Philadelphia, and what I intended to say was the Philadelphia Eagles are ripping the Cowboys' punt coverage to pieces.
Oh, no.
It did not come out that way.
Oh,
sorry.
no.
I'm sorry about that.
I mean, I did have literally an ice-cold shiver go from my feet up to my armpits. And I looked over at Brad Sham expecting help. And Brad had his back turned to me and was just about to fall off his chair. He was laughing so hard. And I thought, my producer for sure is going to help me. Gary Brandt was his name. And I looked over, and he was on his hands and knees in the back of the booth. I got no help whatsoever.
Adam Gase's Peyton Manning story.
Favorite Peyton Manning story? First one that comes to mind was when he actually got him and Matt Prater got in a big kind of prank war in Denver. And I think Peyton won that. And we learned never mess with somebody with more money than you. He got Prater's car towed, or his truck towed, during practice. And the truck loaded it up and then actually had his car. We're at practice. All of a sudden it comes driving around the building with his truck on the back and pulled out of the driveway. And you see Prater just sprinting after the tow truck, trying to catch him before the guy left the facility.
Caller Tony ruins our Peed Next to Me segment with a totally random Peyton Manning story.
Tony, you're on ESPN Radio. Go ahead.
Hello, this is Tony.
Yeah, we've established that.
I really didn't pee against anybody famous, but I did run into Peyton Manning at a Reds game, and he gave me his autograph, and he had a Sharpie in his hat. But I did get his autograph.
Tony, that was a terrible story, poorly told.
Yes.
David Sampson tells a story about two players fighting.
We had two players fight, and I'm forgetting which they were. But I know Chris Hatcher was one of them, and it was another sort of, middle relief type guy. They fought over a girl, and when I say fight, like an actual physical fight where there was a DL stint. I thought it was petty because either they both could have been fine or one of them could have been fine, but I think one of them was someone's wife, so that complicated it.
Chris Hatcher broke Sam Dyson's jaw.
Sam Dyson, yes. People were standing on lines to break Sam Dyson's jaw. But yes, it was Dyson and Hatcher. Man, they were crazy.
Gary Payton describes Larry Bird's trash talking.
The 2 years I played against Larry Bird, he was really, really, really great. He was one of the best basketball players I ever see play. Shoot that ball. He'll tell you where he's going to go on a spot. He'll say, I'm going to shoot this three in your mouth right here in the corner, and he'll go there. And he said, I'm going to take two dribbles, and you're going to try to jump, and then I'm going to hit you, and I'm going to run down, and I'm going to look at you, and it's going to go through the net. And that was incredible to me. He was always saying he's going to give us Christmas presents, and it's going to be a jumper in your mouth, something like that.
Marty Smith's terrible peed next to story, one of the worst stories told in show history.
I heard y'all talking about peeing beside famous people, and I peed by a lot of famous people, but I have a really funny story. So when I was really young, like right out of college, I got hired by NASCAR to write for their league website, and so I'm super amped. So in order to do that, to get started, I have to go to this orientation type of thing at NASCAR headquarters in Daytona Beach, Florida. So I'm waiting for this orientation to start in the lobby of the NASCAR headquarters. And I'm looking around, and I'm wide-eyed, and I'm like, man, I'm so anxious. I really got to pee. So I go in this bathroom in the lobby. I'm in there, and I'm using the bathroom, right, like I'm peeing, and in walks Bill France Jr., the chairman of NASCAR, the man who built this thing into thrust NASCAR into the national consciousness in that era. So I am freaking out. He's at the urinal beside me, and I'm going through this thought process in my mind, like, what are the rules of engagement conversationally when you have your junk in your hands? Like, I don't know how that works, but I got to tell this guy, I am so appreciative that you believe in me. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's been the dream of my life to work for NASCAR, but I don't know how to say it, so I just go for it. And I said, Mr. France, I cannot thank you enough for this opportunity to represent your company. I will not let you down. I will be passionate. I will be dogged. I will work so hard. He begins to speak. I expect this great moment of inspiration, this great welcome. He says, who the hell are you?
It is one of the worst stories I've ever heard.
Pat McAfee's Peyton Manning casino story.
In a casino, French Lick, Indiana, he walks past me while I'm at a roulette table, slaps me on the right ass cheek, all right, gives me a gun and a wink and says, I'll see you tomorrow morning, and then says, how about that red 18, right, with a walk-off. And I'm like, well, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life, you know, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, just slapped my ass here in this little small town in Indiana, and then he told me to go on red 18. I put all of my chips on the red 18. This is a true story. Everybody else at the table looks at me after Peyton leaves, because obviously Peyton's a god everywhere, but in Indiana it's next level. They look at me, they go, we should probably do that too, huh? And I'm like, absolutely. Every single chip on the table was like 1:30, maybe 2 a.m. at this casino was on red 18. It looked like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It looked like the Washington Monument. And obviously, red 18 hits. I tell him the next morning, I'm like, yo, did you know that when you hit the gun and a wink on me and said red 18, everybody bet on red 18, and then red 18 hit? He looked me dead in my eyes and just said, yep. And then I was just like, holy, why, this dude is next level. And from that point forward, I was like, if this dude tells me to jump, I'm going to jump.
Sarah Spain's Michael Jordan story.
I'm going to say something, and I just want you to tell me how it makes you feel.
Okay.
Just do it.
It makes me think of Michael Jordan, so I can't say how it makes me feel on the radio.
Oh, wow. Oh, Michael Jordan's sex symbol?
Michael Jordan, yes, would be, up until maybe 5 or 6 years ago, my number one hall pass.
Really? What's the biggest celebrity you've ever been faced with?
Ooh, I was fairly drunk at Michael Jordan's son's high school graduation party that Drake and Lil Wayne performed at. And I may or may not have given him my card and said, just in case you ever need anything. Which is
How'd he play?
Embarrassing.
There's a lot to unpack there. I'm just trying to throw down.
Who got the card? Was it Drake? Was it Lil Wayne? Was it Michael Jordan?
Michael Jordan.
His son,
Michael Jordan?
possibly?
The senior?
His heiress?
What? The father?
I gave him my card.
Did it say
said,
hall
in case
pass on
you
it?
ever need anything.
Why would he need your help?
What did the card say? Hall pass?
It was one of my old cards from when I lived in L.A., so one side was my acting headshot.
No, man, this is...
The other side was my phone number.
Starting to put character.
And how long before he called?
Still waiting.
How did you get invited to this party?
This woman that I worked with had been on several vacations with Juanita and the kids, almost as a sort of chaperone of sorts. And so she knew that I was a big fan and invited me to the party. And I had just met Michael 2 months earlier at a Super Bowl party, and I acted a little strange.
Okay.
So that when he saw me again 2 months later at his kid's graduation party,
Still remembered
he
you.
was like, what are you doing here?
What did you do the first time you met Michael Jordan that he remembered how strange you were? Michael Jordan must meet hundreds of people.
He was in a VIP area of a party that I was covering the red carpet for. I discovered him before the party truly began, when he was alone and no one knew he was there. And he was near the corner where the red rope separated the VIP. And so I asked if he might take a photo with me. And the security guard kept saying no. And I kept upping the ante as to why he should take a photo with me. And I may or may not have said, when you got divorced, my mom emailed me and said there's still a chance. And I may have said that when I was growing up, you lived one town over, and I used to go to your house and stand on top of my car to look over the gate and see if you were in the front yard.
That's great.
And I may have said that I had a plan once to go trick-or-treating and then faint at your door so that you'd have to bring me inside while you called 911.
Naturally, the second meeting was you showing up at his son's graduation party.
Yes. But he did eventually take the photo with me because either he thought it was funny and compelling or he was scared. But Charles Oakley was with him and took the photo, but part of his thumb covered the corner.
How much distance was the restraining order for?
Still pending.
Do you think the photo might have just been to pass around the security detail?
Potentially, I've never been back.